Hi, everybody. Welcome. I picked the wonderful topic of gratitude. Gratitude is highly underestimated. And I figured since it's November and it's that wonderful holiday called Thanksgiving, the day of giving thanks, I thought, this could go really well. And I think most of us probably need this reminder if we are practicing gratitude on a regular basis, especially with Black Friday being the day after Thanksgiving. And sometimes people tend to be hyper focused on consuming goods, and we want to focus on the positive, good stuff in life. So I thought, let's talk about gratitude, all the science behind it. How do we implement that? But before we get into that, I always like to introduce myself. I'm Meg Tancredi, registered dietitian at PPMA, where I've met a lot of you guys so far, which is fantastic. And I hope to keep meeting more of you. And I focus on whole body health. So brain and body are equally important. And so with gratitude, it's both very simple and profound. We talk so much about nutrition and food and labs and moving your body, which are huge. But today we're talking about gratitude. It's one of the most powerful things that we can implement when it comes to whole body health. So gratitude has this quiet beauty about it, right? It gets us to slow down, see the good that we have going on in our life, and kind of shift from either tension or stress and be more into like peace mode, which we need to have more of. So it's about tuning in to what is nourishing us mentally and physically. So what's incredible is that the science is there. I get very excited about this because I'm all about the science and evidence-based practices. And so gratitude is not just la-di-da. It is something that is really important to implement. So we are talking about how gratitude and positive emotions, they influence brain chemistry and stress physiology. We're talking about the connection between emotional well-being, inflammation, and aging. And then we're going to talk about, well, what do we do with this gratitude stuff that you're talking about, Meg? How do we implement it? And really, is this really going to do anything for my life? And I can almost guarantee that it will if you just stick with it. Gratitude shifts the body from the fight or flight mode into rest and repair. So when this happens, we have reduced we have reduced a lot of things. Blood pressure goes down, heart stress goes down. Our stress response is calmer. We see lower inflammation. We have inflammatory markers. We test CRP regularly, right? That's for systemic inflammation. And in one 8-week study of adults with heart failure, it showed gratitude journaling improved heart rate variability. And again, it reduced CRP and IL-6 after just 8 weeks. So these are markers of inflammation that are tied to heart and metabolic health. So then we come to the brain. And I love this stuff. I think the brain is just absolutely fascinating. So when we practice gratitude, our prefrontal cortex is online. It's activated. This is the part of the brain that is responsible for decisions and logical thinking. So when you're making big decisions, this part of the brain is being used. When we are in fight or flight, the prefrontal cortex is not firing in all cylinders. We have an activated amygdala. Okay, that's our internal alarm system. And as we practice gratitude, that amygdala it goes a little bit quieter, if you will. Okay, so there's less of a threat response going on. Gratitude builds positive neural pathways, which leads to resilience. And when we practice this regularly, neural pathways are rewired so that being calm and optimism become more of the natural response. So instead of feeling like you're in fight or flight, there's a threat all the time, your body, your nervous system is able to relax and you're able to see things a little bit more optimistically. Um, Side note, there's all these quizzes out there that you could take to determine your level of optimism all the way down to pessimism. So for fun, you can always take one of those and see where you rank and then practice gratitude, even if it's like 2 solid weeks, which we're going to talk about how to do that. And then take the quiz again and see. It's all about measuring this stuff, but it's pretty great stuff. So gratitude changes the body's physiology. It's pretty much one of the simplest ways to signal to your system that you're safe. All right. Because we love the research, in 2023, there was a meta-analysis that took a look at 64 of these randomized control trials. That's our gold standard that we look at. It looked at over 8,000 participants, and it found an increase, an improvement when people practice gratitude, an increase in mental health improvement, improvement in life satisfaction, and a decrease in anxiety and depression. So these numbers might sound small. You might be going, okay, well, that's only 6%. But the fact is that it was across the board, consistently over all these people, that they all experienced the improvement in mental health and feeling good in their life. That's actually really fantastic. Nearly 1 in 4 adults over age 50 reports symptoms of anxiety or depression. And that number keeps increasing. So it's not like that's gotten better. It keeps going up. So, we have therapy and we have, sometimes we need to be on medication for some of these, and that's fine. Gratitude is one of those free practices that all of us can benefit from. Gratitude also supports neuroplasticity. That's the body's or the brain's ability to form those new brain connections. And again, more and more studies, they show there's a decrease in loneliness while there's an increase in that optimism and cognitive function. So there's the longest study on happiness and aging. That's called the Harvard Adult Development Study. And so it has shown that strong, grateful relationships predict longer, healthier lives. So we actually talked about this in last month's meetup, how important connection is, right? Connection is connected to longevity. How do we make this a daily ritual? So here's the thing. Gratitude is like a muscle. So every time you use it, it gets stronger. Frequency matters more than duration. So it doesn't mean you need to sit there for an hour to practice gratitude. It's more of how often are you doing it? So there was, again, I like to talk about the science, right? The studies. So there was a 2-week study done that showed daily journaling, again, it increased life satisfaction. One thing I wanted to bring up, because I'm not sure who's heard of that term toxic gratitude or toxic positivity. And that kind of, what that means is that we aren't taking a look at, or rather I should say, it's more about thinking, oh, well, I should be grateful for this. I should feel thankful for this. Other people have it worse. And so when we start thinking like that, that's not practicing gratitude. So it's not about the shoulda, woulda, coulda stuff. It's more about really looking at what is important to you even if it's the smallest thing, and really feeling it, not just listing it, right? So, true gratitude can coexist with challenge. Absolutely acknowledge the hard stuff, the obstacles in life, but also look at maybe there's someone who's helping you get through those challenges. Maybe you have a dog that comes and sits by you and makes you feel better. It doesn't matter what it is, it's what's important to you, right? So we're not pretending life is perfect, but we're going to recognize what is going well and we're going to feel that in our soul. So instead of just saying, oh, okay, I'm going to go practice gratitude, I'm going to list off a few things and say, I'm practicing gratitude. It's something you have to feel in your heart and in your soul. So instead of saying, oh, I'm grateful for my car and I'm grateful for like the birds chirping outside. I mean, maybe you are, but maybe you're grateful for your car because it gets you to go see your grandchildren. Maybe you're grateful for those birds chirping outside because you really enjoy the sound of them and it brings you peace. So, taking time, even if it's 5 minutes, and we're going to talk about this, I have examples of just what feels good in your soul. It doesn't matter. We don't compare it to other people. And really thinking about how it makes you feel. And when we start to do that more and more, man, does our brain start to shift and focus more on what's working in our lives. It's pretty cool. Have you guys heard? And I never remember the name of this, but like when someone says, pay attention to like the red cars on the road, and then all you start seeing are red cars. It's the same thing when you practice gratitude. You notice what is working well in your life. Simple daily habits. So in the morning, so these are going to be examples that you can do throughout the day. And like anything else that we talk about, do not do all the things at once. You just pick one. So in the morning, you could wake up, and a really good habit, as you will hear me say, is do not look at your phone. Wake up and think to yourself, what am I looking forward to today? I mean, 15 seconds. What are you looking forward to today? In the evening, sometimes I like this. I do this before I go to sleep. 3 good things that happened and why they mattered, right? So again, we're not just listing off a bunch of stuff. It's why is this important to me? Why is this on my gratitude list? And then you fall asleep, which is quite nice. Gratitude walk. So you're noticing those sensory details in nature. So remember our senses. So what do we see? What do we hear? Maybe there's like a fresh smell, hopefully not pollution in LA, but maybe you're out walking and there's, smell of fresh grass, or we just had a lot of rain recently. Man, I love that. So you're noticing and you're being more present. You're not out there walking, thinking about all these things going on in your life, or thinking about what am I going to make for dinner, or what do I have left on my to-do list. You're out walking, you're paying attention to your surroundings, and you're taking it in. Sending one thank you text, handwriting a letter, whatever it is that you like to do, saying thank you to somebody. I will just say, you can go to Target and find $1 or it's like a 99-cent card that are adorable, and handwriting a letter to somebody. People still love getting mail. It's quite nice. And then, of course, the meal pause, right? So we want to acknowledge the nourishment and the people behind your meal. Even if you are the one preparing your meal, right? This kind of goes into mindful eating. We have this plate in front of us. Maybe the presentation is beautiful. Maybe that's important to you. Observe it, right? But also acknowledge the fact that you took your time, your precious time, to prepare a nourishing meal. That's a big deal. So take the time, 3 seconds. Thank you to myself. Gratitude doesn't stop with how we feel. It changes how we act. Okay. So gratitude often leads to altruism and helping behaviors. And then those kind acts, they increase the oxytocin that we have. That leads to lower blood pressure, stronger connections, right? It creates a ripple effect. And so we have this positive feedback loop of gratitude, which fuels generosity. And then that generosity builds connection or belonging. And then that belonging deepens gratitude. And so, again, gratitude doesn't mean we're ignoring hardship. It means we're remembering and acknowledging what's still good, what's going great in our lives, right? No matter how small. The next step is to think about a small gratitude ritual that you could start tonight, or maybe you like the idea of waking up in the morning, not looking at your phone and thinking, okay, what am I looking forward to today? One thing. So you could either, maybe I want to start with writing a note to my friend and say, hey, my friend, I'm so grateful you're in my life, and tell them something that you like about them. Maybe you want to go for that walk before it rains and you want to go observe your surroundings. Or maybe it's just that quiet thought that you have before bed. So I like this quote. It's not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratitude that makes us happy. Does everyone feel happy right now? I mean, I sure do talking about this. So I know that's probably, we're a little on the shorter side for content just because I wanted to leave some time and, well, one, any questions, but I would love for anyone to share maybe if they already practice gratitude or anything that they've noticed because they've been practicing gratitude for a while now. Or maybe it's, hey, this is a new concept for me, and maybe I want to try, taking a walk once a week, right? Well, I'm going to encourage you more than once a week because remember, it's more about frequency than how long you're doing it. So ideally, you're doing something very simple, like we talked about every day, but it doesn't have to be like it's this long, drawn out process. But it's about, a short amount of time thinking about what matters to you and really feeling that in your heart and soul. I like gratitude a lot. I like the part about thinking about three things before I go to bed. Um, I have a friend who actually told me that's what she does. And I thought, ooh, that sounds great. Because at one point, I had tried doing the journal, and it's all about trying different avenues and seeing what works for you. So I had tried doing the journal. I kind of liked it, but I liked thinking of the three things, like kind of like what went well in my day, what made me feel good, who did I talk to that brought joy in my life. And so when I thought about those, my light was out. I've already done my wind down routine. I'm in bed, ready to go to sleep. And I have these positive thoughts in my brain before I go to sleep. And it's such like a warm feeling. It's like a little hug. I hope this was helpful. I like to think about, I mean, there's so many things that we can talk about as far as physical health goes, but mental health is so important. And the fact that a lot of us, have either symptoms, that are similar to anxiety or depression, or we do have that diagnosis, but regardless, I mean, this is something that everyone, can be practicing. One, it's very simple. Two, it's free. Three, I just gave you the science behind it, so you don't have to go figure it out on your own. Thank you guys again. Thank you for putting in the effort to attend. That means that you care about your health. It is important and you're open to learning, which is always the first step, right? Being open and gaining awareness to what we can improve and get better at is the best place to start. So thank you all for being here. And I hope you all have a good rest of your day.